And he knows that he's played it so well.
And he has, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I'm not going to say this in a mean way, but the guy is a great salesman. I mean, he is a really good salesman. And I'm not saying that he's not deeply in love with Paige.
Well, welcome back. We're here with the final episode of Love or Lie Island, and I'm with the fabulous Judi James. And we have our winners, Paige and Finn.
Who knew? Surprise, surprise. It was like taking a big hunk of wedding cake and stuff it into your mouth before you felt a little bit queasy, I thought. But great, obviously, good for them.
Great for them. Obviously, it was the final last night, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. So we start with the moment that Paige and Finn were crowned our winners.
Fabulous.
Paige and Finn!
How the fuck have I blacked that?
So I thought his reaction was quite interesting, but kind of what did you take? Were they shocked? Were they surprised? What
You
do
can't be
think?
surprised by that point. And
No.
he knows that he's played it so well.
And he has, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I'm not going to say this in a mean way, but the guy is a great salesman. I mean, he is a really good salesman. And I'm not saying that he's not deeply in love with Paige. I'm not saying it. But I felt so sorry for the fudge because that was her acting moment of the. Because I think people thought she was going to win. Looking at feedback, people really, they're almost going to have a recount of the votes on that one. She'd geared herself up. She created this really good, strong character. And then she had to smile and pretend that it was like an Oscar loser's moment.
Sure, we're going to get to Shanice's reaction in a bit because I actually thought that was really interesting. But did you think, was it kind of like a relief or was it shock? Like, what do you think Paige and Finn were going through then?
They did all the sort of, the cut off. She put her hand over her mouth. She actually didn't quite look at him to start with, but then she leapt at him. So we were seeing a sort of sexual side of it all. I think he was probably feigning surprise. I mean, you get that far and you look at the competition, and I think they probably would have known that, it was Shanice and Luke that were the biggest competition, but they couldn't have been hugely surprised, I don't think. He's just so good at body language in a way. I mean, but in a way presenting himself, I think, a little bit more to the fans and the voters. He's very good with her, but I'm not sure there's a kind of compatibility thing going on there. I am the Grinch, I'm sorry. I'll shut up. They're in love. He threw everything in there, didn't he? The kitchen sink. We'll get married, we'll live together.
Especially in this final week, he's really
he's got the confetti in his pocket by that stage. So,
But it's fascinating, like we just said, that he's 20 and the fact that he expresses kind of, like you said, that salesman, and he's so kind of dominating, isn't he, for a 20-year-old?
Because I think at 20, and I'm not going to overgeneralise, but there was no embarrassment really. I mean, the fact to fall in love on screen in front of millions of viewers when you're only 20, which is unusual. Take what you want from that one. And to then act it all out as though you're maybe a guy in his 30s getting married. I mean, they did look like they got married on screen, really, didn't they? That's what their body language performance was very much like. And to have the capability of using eye contact with her to tell her how much in love he was. There was no hiding place for his face because he had huge eyes, so we could see all the eye expression. I was expecting, if he was genuinely a 20-year-old falling in love, there would have been a little bit more awkwardness about the whole thing. But no, he had the confidence to carry it off. And I think his job, presumably, is selling. And I think that probably got rid of the embarrassment factor. He was able to do it.
Interesting. But I think, like we were saying before, I think it's a huge shock that actually they won. For me, I just presumed it was going to be Luke T and Shanice all the way. But I think this might be the moment that clinched it for Paige and Finn.
You got this.
I don't fucking know, you're crying. That's because I can't stand the thought of not being with you 24/7.
I mean, I think everyone's a sucker for a bit of a blob, me, myself included, but are we actually just suckers?
Did you cry?
No, I actually didn't cry, but...
Snot?
Yeah.
No. I love Shanice's face. It said it all there because she saw that whole prize money going out of our hand at that point. There is a big thing psychologically with tears. That they're part of our survival process in terms of body language. So they make us look helpless, and also they have a contagious effect. So it's the pseudo-infantile remotivational technique. The whole thing about tears will be, there are several reasons, but the main thing in terms of survival is that when you see somebody crying like that, and that's why I asked you if you cried, you almost can't help having empathy with them and mirroring their state. So in animal behaviour, you know, the actual animal that was about to attack would kind of back down. And I think the moment that he started to blub like that, you knew that they were going to win because it honestly, as hard, I have a chip of glass in my heart when it comes to body language. But even though I'm thinking, oh, you know, give him an Oscar, I'm still sitting there trying not to tear up.
It was generally really moving, and there's been so many points where I wasn't sure that I wasn't convinced by Finn at all. And Finn and Paige, but this I just, I was just sold, and
it didn't
you know, I was almost voting, and
you see, it's so manipulative. I hope somebody removed the phone from your hand at that point. Mine's in another room, can I just say? I don't even sit with mine. I voted once on a reality show and regretted it.
Never again.
But that's why she then started crying. And it's very much the wedding effect. I mean, this replicated a wedding. It replicated the wedding speech. The kind of where you get all gooey about your other half, and people just, you know, it's projectile tears. And the fact that he's a big bloke and was trying to hide his tears, I mean, there were women all over the land with their little hearts breaking at that point. It was excellent. It was so well timed. And as I say, Shanice's face, you know, she was obviously loving them to bits, but thinking, okay.
And it's the first time I think I've seen Shanice, I've thought as Shanice as a bit of a game player in it.
Well,
but in a good way, like I think it's when you get into the final, you're going to be, but yeah.
Of course, and I love the way that she's gone in with this almost off-the-peg personality. I love all her traits and her poses and everything, and I like the fact that going in, planning that a little bit probably I love that with Love Island. You know, and I'd rather see that, and I like the game players in there because it is, we all know, you know, it is a game.
Yeah.
And as you know, I don't believe in any of them in terms of relationships. Did you know that?
No, pick that up now and again.
I just thought I'd save that for the last thing. And so why not do it? Because it's more entertaining. I mean, I've been very entertained by her in a way that I haven't with the others. The others have been, it's been a nice series, hasn't it? All of those people at the end there were very nice, very happy, very weirdly in love at the same time. And I like a bit of an edge. You know, I like the ones that are a bit not so good as well, so that you are thinking, are they going to give that prize money back right now or not? You know.
I feel like when we look back on this series, it will be the fudge that I remember.
I think it will be the fudge. And I mean, I would imagine, and for me, one of the big things about the body language, I'm imagining the body language of the agents off screen. Yeah. And if I was the agent, I'd be thinking for the fudge, you know, get her away from Luke. Let's get her on Dancing on Ice. You know, she's got the same kind of potential as
Maura.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would be looking at Finn and Paige, interestingly, and I would be trying to get Paige signed up for a music gig, and I would be trying to get her with her ex to do some. I'd be looking for a recording gig. And I think for him as well, it'd be great. Let's get a little bit of newspaper headlines and then.
Let's see what happens. I'm intrigued. I'm excited. This is my favourite bit now. Let's see what happens next, isn't it? But yeah, let's go back to Shanice and Luke and look at the moment that they found out that they hadn't won, which came as a shock to everyone, I think.
Oh
an experience. I can't even describe how amazing it was, honestly.
Incredible. And like we said, like we win every day just having each other.
I know. You found love.
Yeah.
You won.
What I thought was interesting in the build-up to that was kind of every single person on that stage was looking at their partner, apart from Shanice, who was just dead straight looking forward the whole time.
I think Shanice has body language that I'm like it because I don't like flying, and I believe that I'm holding the plane up in the air by holding onto the armrest. I think Shanice feels that by being totally focused, she can make that win occur, and that's another thing I like about the woman. She is totally focused.
She's so in control all the time, isn't she?
Absolutely, in a good way.
Yeah.
You know, I love to see that kind of resolve and when people go in there. And yeah, you could see that they both, bless them, looked a bit like somebody punched them in the stomach when they found out they hadn't won. And they did reboot. I mean, if I'd have stood there, I'd have just stood there looking, daggers at the winners. But they were very good. But you could see that it was kind of over-congruent. Oh, isn't that wonderful? And if you noticed their little talk that they did afterwards, it was a winner's talk.
Yeah, we still won.
Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, I felt... And they almost got elbowed out, didn't they, in that last bit? I mean, I thought that was a shame because they've been such a good, strong couple. I wanted a longer bit with them. And I think that's always the problem with the people that come second in these shows. It's like, oh, yeah, thank you, let's get on with the winners now. But I think she's the one to watch. I think she's the one that people will want to see more of on things.
Definitely. I've been the most fascinated by Shanice.
Yeah. And I think there's more... Oh, I sound like some cliched old... I think there's more to come from her. You're a little star.
I think there is, though, definitely.
I think there is. I want to see her under different circumstances. I'd like to see her in a really tough game show where she, you know, like Hunted or something, where you can see her really be openly competitive, I think would be great.
She's the one, I think, across this whole series where you take her out of the narrative and she's just an interesting character.
Yes, and I always worry, having been working on reality shows for years, I always look at the winners this year and I think, what's that going to tell the producers that we're looking for the next season? And as much as I love Paige and Finn, and I think they've been great, I don't want them picking the sort of, nice guys are always going to win, because I think we will get a bit bored with that. I think there was enough love coming from those two to keep everybody dreamily happy. But we're going to get the looky-likeys coming up on the next one. They're going to look at them as a kind of, right, I'll be like Finn and I'll be like Paige, which is going to be less entertaining, I think.
Why be Paige when you can be Shanice?
Exactly.
I'm going to go back a couple of days to when the families came in. There was just a really cute moment between Luke and his mum.
Can I just say before we... No, you can't imagine. But meeting your potential in-laws while you're wearing a thong, it's my mum. Wow. Yes.
We've all been there.
I just thought it was just me.
Let's take a look.
Absolutely love Shanice. Yeah.
She's nice, isn't she?
She is more than nice. She is more than nice.
Yeah. She tells me off though, innit?
I love it.
I knew it. I told you.
But that's
I knew it.
I love
You know our relationship.
Big moment.
Explain all.
That was a little boy telling his mummy, did you say, she told me off, innit? And mummy at that point, being a clever mummy, took Shanice's side, you know, oh, well, you know, it's almost like, well, that's good for you, that's what you deserve and everything like that. You wait till they come out. That's going to be... Hang on, are you telling my child? And those two are going to be waiting at the school gates, having a fight next time he comes... No, obviously he's not at school, but off the football pitch or whatever. And I thought her body language was fabulous because she looked really jolly about it. But there was something about his body language, and we've already mentioned that he gets almost turned on by being told off. But he kind of self-diminished, so he went into a child's state, and he did the little finger like that, and he put on a child's voice. And I think secretly he was hoping that she's going to take Shanice on. I think Shanice might have her hands full with that relationship, actually. Who's going to be the dominant one? I think he's going to be like a little chicken wishbone where, you know, half each.
It was interesting, though, because I think it did, like we've said before, it did totally sum up their dynamic, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and that's what.
But it's great. I
It's
really
worth
enjoyed
talking
that.
about.
Yeah.
You know, and that richness. You don't. Love Island tends to be. I don't mean superficial and but you know, we go, oh, I'm in love and blah blah blah. But with her and those two, I think we did see different layers that were entertaining in a way that. Going forward, I think I'd like to see more of, really.
I think it's a shame we haven't seen more of. I could have done with another couple of weeks, I think.
Maybe
now
more.
that the couples have kind of found their feet a bit more.
And I don't know what it'll just be photographs from now on.
Exactly.
You'll see them, okay.
Yeah.
The snaps will be
Okay.
coming in and, you know, I'll be saying, oh no, she's looking at her phone. And that's the other problem. The minute they come out of here, they're just welded to their phones. So you see them kind of walking along together, but...
It's such a different journey now, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just like you and me when we leave this table.
Well.
Agents coming in.
Finally, we're going to take a look at kind of all the couples at one point when they were sat talking to Laura, because I thought this was quite interesting to look at, actually.
You're a big fan of toast.
I don't know what you're on about.
No idea. Just hungry.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think it was just a part of the day, us boys, we would have the banter.
Yeah.
It'd be like back at home
Yeah.
at the pub with your mates having a pint. But I think what I'm most excited about, getting that full English when I'm back home.
Without the cameras involved.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought all their stances were quite telling during this scene.
Well, we had the discussion, didn't we, last week, that, you know, the hand,
Yeah.
watch the hand. And I was actually very surprised because there was a lot of dangling hands going on there. And I thought, this is the point where they're supposed to be completely sympathetic and loved up and everything like that. And there was a lot of that cinema manoeuvre going on. I mean, from Finn as well, which is the arm over the back of the chair nowhere near her. And the hand dangling, where she sat down, Paige sat down and immediately kind of grabbed his thigh, which was a lot more intimate, clearly. I love the way that Luke was performing a crotch cover pose. So he was sitting there with his hands sort of covering his crotch, especially when the full English breakfast thing came up. But a lot of the guys, in a way, it also gets called, I call it gentleman's hands, which is if you don't want to kind of, if the woman's dressed up for a big red carpet event or something, you don't want to crease the outfits. But we were talking bare arms, so there was no need for that, and the clothes were quite clingy. I like watching, and watch it when you get the after show and things like that. Watch suddenly when there's interviews and things like that, and you do suddenly see that the couples start to, I want to raise my profile a little bit, and I want to talk directly to Laura. You'll begin to see a bit of an imbalance sometimes with how they then want to market themselves when they get outside. And I think that's interesting to look for. And I saw that from, I think, in fact, all of them to a certain extent at this point. Maybe not Luke and Shanice. I think they were a lot more cozied up together.
They do that, don't they?
Yeah, but you can see 6 degrees of separation from the other ones. The guys with the leg splay, the women beginning to self-groom, and I almost begin to see them growing apart even at this point, thinking of their own image with their body language. But I was a little bit surprised. I think Finn was definitely, he got that line in his head about the full English, and he was very much at Laura and everything. And the hand was just dangling. I don't want to be a prophet of doom. They will be married by this time tomorrow.
I mean, at the rate they're going, they will be.
Oh, they'll have children by next week. At least 3 kids. Well, the Fudge will, won't she? How many children did she want? She told anybody that would listen. She was going to have a whole schoolyard of them, They're probably at it now. No, not a nice thing.
So what do we think's next for our islanders?
As I say, I think Shanice hopefully will get more, the most attention in terms of stories.
Yeah.
I think, like any couple that wins it, the next thing will be, even if the press are trying to be nice, I think they will be looking for signs of splitting between the winners. Jack and Danny.
Yeah.
I think they might get signed up. I know he's saying, we'll be living together. I don't know whether that was a thought of doing a Jack and Danny.
Yeah.
That hideous where we had to see them pretending to be living together and in love. I don't know whether that was a thought for that, but I think they've got so much to sort their heads out when they get out, and he's got to get back with his mates and the banter, and she's got the music career. Yes, they do seem to be sort of in love enough to maybe
Yeah.
hold it together. But all of that kind of, you know, he'll be getting texts from women and stuff like that. It's what everybody
It is a
does.
different ball game, isn't it, when they
Oh my
come
goodness!
out?
I mean, they've
Yeah.
been in an enclosed space,
Yeah.
and even then there were moments of
Yeah.
distrust. Now we'll see how resilient they
Mm.
really are when they get out, because they should be beating them off with a stick. Just anybody to get their name in the paper.
Mm. I mean, he is making extraordinary plans, isn't he, with the house and the dog and...
Please don't get a dog yet. You know,
No.
a dog's for life.
Yeah.
Wait on that one,
Just
I would
get a
say.
hamster or something. I don't know.
Even a hamster. I have to stand up now, actually. They're a little bit quieter. But yeah, he's probably got that 20-year-old enthusiasm.
Yeah.
That I hope he realises he is only 20. He is a footballer, you know. And get your career sorted out and then see how you get on. I'm sure he won't. How
We'll
much for a
see.
deal for a wedding would that be? Yeah.
We'll see. But anyway, thank you once again for
thank you.
another
It's been
amazing
such good
series of
fun.
Love or Lie Island. We'll be back this summer, I think. But maybe with Laura, with who knows what's happening. But yeah, we'll be back with another series of Love or Lie Island.